Uh, as I say, back there in them days, things were very cheap. I used to get a gallon of milk for a quarter and move on. I'm moving on. Where me and this white boy, we working together on a job, and we were doing the same thing. And he was making $7 a day. I was making $5 a day. And so he sat me down and told me, he said, I don't know why he paid me $7 a day and pay you $5 a day. I said, I don't know either. So I quit. So the next day, I didn't go to work. So big man, he came over to the house talking about, how come you didn't come to work? I said, because I found out you paid him $2 a day more than you did me. I made $5 a day. Not hour, a day. And so, me and him got into it. Well, of course he won. So I didn't say nothing about it. I went on. But my daddy dug with deal with him. So, move on. And this is not just that. It's that we are Americans. And these educated people, graduated from college, still living back in the Civil War days. The only thing they're doing is doing most sophisticated. So anyway, back there, gas on cost about maybe a quarter a gallon. Once it was 11 cents a gallon, they went to a quarter. Gas in a car. And you could fill your tank up for about $1.50, $2 the most. So you ride on. So we rode on through. We had no street light. We had rocky road. What I mean by rocky road, we call them gravel. Gravel back home. Gravel road. And they get so many truck holes in it, the road grader had to come through and grade it out somewhere and fill the holes back up. And so you walk up there rocky road, which we call gravel road, and sometimes some people did it barrel feeding. And on the farm, we didn't wear very many shoes at first when we were little. But you know, as you grow older, we wore boots, cowboy boots, and stuff like that. Shoes. But now, when I be talking, I have to go back because that's where I remember stuff. Now, I can remember when the summertime, the shade tree was our air conditioner, our AC. Just about everybody back there had a trade sheet in their yard. Okay? Now, when you were around about 13, 14, you had to go, you could make money cutting grass. And I probably have said this, but let me tell you, when you had to push a yard mower, and sometimes the yard mower that you be pushing, the yards were larger than the average yards today. But to us, we didn't think nothing about it. So, you go to the orchards and you pick up bushes of apples. We didn't grow no oranges in this part of the country. All I knew were apples and peaches and plum and stuff like that. Well, blackberry most of the time grew wild back there, but they were good blackberry. And we could pick 5 gallons a day very, very easy. You got about a quarter. For about 5 gallons, you got about a quarter. But now it is worth dollars of kind of $8, $9, $10 a gallon. And just how much things have changed. And I'm so glad God have let me see them days. Like they were saying, in them days, these days, and those days, I was in them. Now, I'm getting ready to go into the woods. You know what trees to cut and what trees not to tree, because you need wood, like I say, to cook, heat, and barbecue. Get this straight. When you were growing up back in them days, you learned these things. You had to know what wood to barbecue with. Because if you put the wrong wood on that grill to make that fire, it's going to be in your meat. Now, you use good hickory wood, a good red oak, a good white oak. It was special wood. You had to learn this. Then, we had a lot of hickory trees. Certain hickory, we could get nuts, could get them off for nuts for winter. And we done this. We work with the ants. A lot of people don't know, but some people do know. Ant work all the summer and put up their food for the winter. A little bitty ant. And so now in the summer, it was no such thing as no freezer, refrigerator. Not yet. It was ice box, what we call them. And the ice man would come. I don't know where he get a big piece of ice from, but he'd chip off a 25 cents block, a 50 cents block, a dollar block if you wanted. That was a great big piece of ice. But most people got a quarter block of ice. So you put this ice in an ice box. And you watch the ice and you set everything on the ice and the milk and stuff kept. So just about that ice melt down, he back through there again. Ice man, here come the ice man. You get another block of ice, you put it in the ice box. So you move on. Now you got an ice box. Now, when summertime comes, most people have what you call an ice cream maker. Or I don't know what you call it. But anyway, you made your own ice cream. It was no place to buy none from, so you made your own. Grandmama and them, they remember the menu, how to make it. I remember that the custard, I didn't have too much to do with the custard because I had to turn the machine that turned the ice maker, whatever you call that thing. But anyway, I know you had to turn it. You had to put salt on the ice and you turn it to make ice cream. Now you said, ooh, that was a good bowl of ice cream too. And you had a pitcher where you made lemonade in the summertime. Now you move on, in the fall of the year, it began to call walnut season. That's where we had the peanuts on the field. We bring them in, and we had popcorn growing in the field. And my thing was the black walnut. We had about 8 black walnut trees, and they was my trees. And every year, I would get them off and go out there and hug them. They have a thick green hug on top of them. And so you get the hugs off and you put them on top of something so it can dry. They had to get dry because your hand would get sting if you pick them up. If that sting come out, it look something like nicotine. But, so then, later on, older in the year, getting on down there around barbecue time. Around June, July, August, barbecue days. We had to go to the field. We pick a goat or a lamb or a sheep, you call it. And you had the goats grow over here and the sheep go over there. They were segregated and they would integrate. No way to integrate sheep and goats. at that time. I don't know how it is now. But the goats, when they get ready to get barbecued, they'll holler, make a lot of noise, and sheep never said a word. So go move on down in the barbecue pit where we barbecued the whole hog. And so why do people don't barbecue the whole hog now? To me, it's strange. But life changed, and it began to change after the Korean War, when it really changed. That around 1953, when things started to change, because they had learned to build a car in 1949. They built an automobile, and all the rest of them other was cars. And they were made out of stone steel. You would run each other 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. You wouldn't have to do nothing. If you still bound your head bound, because there wasn't no seatbelt in no cars. Seatbelts didn't come in until, I don't know, like probably in the 60s when they probably put seatbelts in cars. Because cars back in them days didn't have no seatbelts. And so, at the school, I would say, most of them back there, we all would make our own boarding errors, and we'd take them to school until the boy who around shot a boy with one, and we wouldn't allow to take boarding out of school no more, because just about everybody then shot boarding error, because it was easier to make an arrow than to buy a shell. They only would sell you 3 shotgun shells at a time and about 10 rifle bullets at the same time. You couldn't buy no whole lot of shells and bullets like you could today, this day and time. Most of the shotguns back there only shot one time. Then back down, we get in the 50s now. In the 50s, things started changing. You started buying things. But if I go back to the 40s, it's not too much I haven't missed during that time. But our clothes were cheap and everything. And most people that didn't have money, we wore what you call hand-me-down. The white kids would get all kind of clothes and everything. They had plenty of money, and we didn't, and we couldn't figure out. Some place you work for a nickel an hour, or some place you work for a dime an hour, back in the 40s now. And so but you were able to buy something with it. If you had 50 cents, you could buy a whole lot of stuff. It's weird. A bag of chips, a bag of popcorn, or something like that. It was weird. But anyway, we didn't know no difference in prices and stuff at that time, and it didn't bother us. Now, after that, we saw where white children could ride the bus, and I don't care where we went to school at back there, we had to walk. And they rode the same bus to the same school where we had to walk. That, not too bad. Now, on the city bus, when you got to Louisville, Kentucky, the Jim Crow changed. You can sit anywhere you want on the bus. And some people just will ride that bus just because they could sit anywhere they want to on the bus. It was a big thing. Until that day when that lady, Rose Park, said, That's what changed. That's when the South started to change. Now, after you look at today's time, Jim Crow still exists, but it's more sophisticated and philosophical in the way that they do things. But it still exists, but you're not supposed to be able to see it. And back them days, when I was coming on, if you talk about them, said anything about it, you was in trouble. And the more you talk about it was big trouble. So, Then, most of the girls, they learn to cook. They learn to love their husband. They learn to love their children. They raise their children. And let me tell you something. They learn to sew. They learn to make clothes. And most of the dresses that the young ladies were worn back in them days, they made them. They had plenty of time to sew, but you had plenty of time to make your own clothes. And they did only just make the clothes for the girls. They made clothes for the men too, back in them days. It's what we're, when I look back over there, I just say, look how life has changed. Now, it wasn't no such thing throwing away nothing on the farm. When I say nothing, because a pair of pants got a hole in them, you didn't throw them away like we do now. You got time to be bothered with them no more. It was patch. They were so patchy in their clothes, and in the 40s, it was all right. But when you get down to the 50s, close to the 60s, people would make fun of you walking around with patch clothes. But back in the day, this was the thing. When you got a hole in something, the girls learned to sew with the sewing machine came along around in the late 40s, early 50s. They could operate a sewing machine. I can't do it really to this day. Really, I couldn't understand that sewing machine. Because grandmama's sewing machine, that she made clothes with, you had to paddle with your foot. You remember that? You had to paddle with your foot. And later on, over in the 50s, they changed that. They started making a sewing machine where it run by electric. Girls stopped making clothes because they started making and selling themselves. People said, that got to stop. So then a big factory opened up because they were making electric machines now. But them old sewing machines, you had I was looking at women back in the day, they had sat there and paddled with their foot. You paddle that sewing machine with your foot. Okay, now, after you made the clothes, the men's been out in the field working and everything. They would cook a good meal on a wooden stove. They had to put wood in every time the fire go down. Put me some more wood. Put me another stick of wood in this stove. You put another stick of wood in, 2 or 3 sticks, and they fill it back up. Then they put a smile on their face because they had time to cook for a while. Now, before you have to pick up any more wood. You don't know about no wood pile in this day and time. Oh, no. So, after the meals get done and everything, you go out, sit on the shade tree. You drink some lemonade or you drink some cold water. And if you had some ice, oh, that was big time. Because most of the water you got in the well and system was cool anyway, was cool enough to drink. Thank God, Lord have mercy. He have changed things so much for us. And this is a blessed years to live in. People, I don't know. People don't realize how it was back in the days when things only depend on respect, dignity. There was a time, anybody older than you said, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, to them. Yes, sir, no, sir, of course. But now, moving on, after the World War, the Korean War, things began to change a whole lot. And people, it got so sophisticated that people started to doing things under the cover. There come your after hour joints, the nightclubs, and bootlegging. People started having their own restaurant in their own home. And then in the 50s, they said, They learned to make money by opening up fast food joints. And they kept opening up. And they still open up today. They still coming out with fast food joints. Beautiful. But back in the day, if you got hungry and you were a singer, you didn't have no wife, nobody to cook for you, you made a deal with somebody's family where you could come and eat. You give them $2 or $3, whoever, big money. But this way, you survive. Now, if I come by your house, I was hungry, and you was eating, I ate. Now, I was a little boy. My mama, she would cook a meal. And I had to carry it over to the older people house, a dinner. Mama had a different dinner, a different family every day in the summer for me to take to the older people. But this is funny. So I thought I could fix a bicycle, I wouldn't have to walk. So something happened to the bicycle. I didn't tighten the handlebar. I didn't tighten it tight enough. So I'm going to hold this dinner and ride over to this house. I never forget it. Mr. Cutler and Miss Cutler's house. And so I started around this curve, me and that bike. It got hung up some kind of way, the wheel threw me off, and the dinner didn't spill. And I was thanking God, because our mama would tore me up. But I went over top of that handlebar on that bicycle and hit that hard country. This in the early 50s. And so I said, wait a minute. I never had liking for no bicycle no more. But now I begin to grow up in the car. I had to learn how to ride horses with no saddle, mules, no saddle. So I rode everything I could ride on the farm. Pig, hog, cow. I ain't fool with no bull too much. That is the meanest thing on the farm, is a bull. And cowboys now, they made a sport out of it. Riding a bull. If you can stay on a bull 8 seconds, you've been up there a long time. 2 or 3 seconds is about the best you can do, because he'll throw you off. Different than a bull, you couldn't ride him until he had sense enough to break him, and you could ride him like you could a horse. Now, a horse, you could ride a horse never been rode before. You can ride him, he can buck, and he don't throw you off. You stay on him, you'll break him. And then you can ride him every day, he would never try to throw you. But a bull, you can't do that. Now, I ate the woodpile. The woodpile, once the wood start getting low, you got to go back and get some more wood. Because that was your funeral. That's everything you had to keep you warm. That's what you had to cook with it. You had to make bath water with it. You had to wash clothes in the wash tub and the washboard up there. Sometimes you find yourself now looking at And then, like I said, in the late 50s, things really started changing from the 40s. 40s was terrible. Wasn't nothing manual in the 40s. Everything was done in the 40s. It used human strength to move it or to work it or to pull it or to push it. And so now, you were saying that, as I was saying, that the washing machine began to come out. It had a motor in it, run for a while. Sometimes they quit on it, they burn up. But they just beginning new technology. They had what they call roller, whatever you call it. I forget the name of it. But anyway, you put the clothes in it, and they squeeze the water out, and you catch them on the other side of them. So when that happened, washing became a woman's job. It's no longer now a man's job. But the washing machine, they love their washing machine. They're going all day long of how long you had to wash. And you catch your clothes out on the other side. But they hadn't designed a dryer yet. So you wash your clothes and you didn't have no dryer? Yes. You have what we call the clothesline, where you take the clothes out after you caught them on the wringer. After they come out of the wringer, you take them and hang them on the line. What you call a clothesline usually been hung in the backyard. You hang the clothes on the clothesline and wait for them to get dry. Now winter is coming. You got to wash enough clothes to get through the winter, because you had no way to wash no clothes during the winter, because there was no way to dry them. Well, what did you do? You had a clothesline in the house, somewhere in the house. So you wash a few clothes. You wash what you need daily, because you wait until the sun gets hot again, so you can hang the clothes on the clothesline in the backyard. It was a lot of work. Then it was no fish houses there. Just about every farm had a pond, and every pond had fish in it. And you made your own fishing pole until the fishing reels started coming out in the late 50s, early 50s. A whole lot of stuff changed in the 50s. Now, in the 50s, you didn't have to make your own fishing pole, because you could buy a reel, and they were cheap. $3, $4, $5, $10. You buy an extra good reel for about $10. But back on the farm, you made your fishing pole out of sticks, bamboo sticks, if you could find something to buy in town when you get a chance to go. You could stop by the store, the store where sold fish pots and things there, and they might have some bamboos up there, where they got them from, trade. And so you could make your fishing pole. And so you made your own fishing pole, because that's how you got first fish. You got it from the river, got it from the lake, got it from the pond, because there was no fish house. You learn to clean your fish. Some fish have scales on them. You clean with scales. You clean them with a big spoon or something like that, or a small spoon, depending on the size of the fish. But your catfish, you need plows to clean them, because they have to be skinned. And they will stick you that everything on the farm, or even anywhere, they have a defense system. In other words, something to protect themselves. All animals. God bless you. All animals. So, God bless you. So the fish that you catch Ooh, it'll be fresh. Most it'll be fresh fish you cooking. And with certain fish, different kind of fish, you use different kind of bait to catch a certain kind of fish. Most that way women are with men. They use a certain kind of bait to catch a man. A man uses a certain kind of bait to catch a woman. But I don't mean that you catch them on no line now. I ain't talking about that. Let's get that straight. But what I mean about that, everybody is not the same. Even to a common cold, it doesn't affect everybody the same way it does one person. Over, let's say, you or me. Somebody else might have the same cold, affect them different. We won't speak too much on physiology, but I'm just saying, now, the reason that I was speaking of that, Mama, Grandmama, they had a cure for everything came up with. God bless them. Everything they come up with. They had something for a stomach ache. They had certain tea with something else. They had something for the sore throat. That's soda, which people don't use very much now. Soda was used for a lot of things on the farm. First, they would put a picture of it when they were making cornbread. They would put a little punch of soda in there, because it said it does something for the bread. They made their own cornbread. It wasn't no Jiffy. It wasn't that kind of bread at that time. But thank God for it now. It's okay. But when they made biscuit, they didn't get hard. Like you try to make something now, look like this will get automatically get hard. No. When Grandmama and Mama am cooking 3 meals a day on this old wooden stove. Most houses back in the late 30s and early 40s had fireplace in them. That's how they kept warm. In the 40s, a lot of houses, me, myself, we lived in a log cabin. Real log cabin. For 2 or 3 different ones. Real log cabin. Them houses were made out of big logs. Just about everything in it was made by logs. Called log cabin. And these houses, back in them days, weren't built like how it's built today. And this is the funny part about it. They kept you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. You might, because this day and time, people hate to sweat. But now, back on the fall, when the sun was hot, real hot, you had to come to work early. You was in 4 o'clock when daylight come, you was in the tobacco patch, the cornfield, the tomato field. Depending on which field you was in that day. Might be the sweet potato, might be the white potato. You grew all of this stuff. And it was hard work. But you didn't think about it at that time. And look back over now and look at the gate you had to make to keep the cows in. Now you can go buy one. You don't have to make a gate. Somebody took it and made money out of it because of the modern farm. So anyway, back on the farm, when I say you had to make the gate, you don't only have to make the gate. We had something called a post hole digger to make posts for the fence around the yard, around the farm. It had 2 handles on it, and 2 pieces iron on it, steel, whatever it is, on the side of it, and to make how deep you want it to be, 2 feet, 3. That's how much you dug it with this post hole digger. You work it 2 handles in it, chuck in the ground, cram in the ground, cram in the ground, pull it together, bring the dirt out, set it on the side. But modern farmers, they back up there where they want to make the hole at, hit a switch, post hole digger go down there, and the way it dig down in the ground, it turned the dirt back out. Now, you put the post in, then you had to pack the dirt around it with something like a bat, a stick. You pat it real good. That hold the post. Hold it steady. Hold it good. Now, running that barbed wire, it's sticky. I don't care how you pick it up, how you go, try not to get stuck with barbed wire. You get stuck with barbed wire. And barbed wire sticks so bad, it'll keep the cows and things in the field. When they get to that barbed wire fence, they let it alone. But you're going to get stuck. Now, moving on, I never understand one thing, how dark chickens give you brown eggs. White chicken give you white eggs. White chicken, when they hatch, all chicken when they hatch, is yellow. Little yellow pretty things. But as they grow, their true color come out. Now I'm talking about true colors. Everybody wasn't born to be farmers. Farming is a talent. Like doctor, lawyer, musician, mechanics, pilots. That comes from when Jesus was growing up. He gave different gifts to different people. And some people on the farm, they think it's so hard and everything, they rather take a whooping to put a chopping hole in their hand. A chopping hole is a hole that you use. You go up the field all day. You got to get the grass wet around the plant. You cut so close to them. So when you get good, you can almost cut next to the plant and go cut the grass. But young hole people with the hole, you have to stop and pull the grass weight around the plant, because if you cut a plant down, you done lost money. And people don't want you in the field cutting their crop down, cutting the plants down. They want you to get the grass out. And we learned that you get the grass out and put it in a row, in the middle of the row, what we call the rows. In between the rows, the plow would take the grass and cover it over and kill it when it's smothered out. But some of the girls, they farming wasn't in them. And some of them in them but farming. Some of the boys, farming wasn't in them. And people used to talk about farming bad. Little old dusty farmers, they're dumb. Because most of the farmers back in the 40s, if they made it to the 8th grade, whew, they was educated. Most of them drop out at 3rd grade, 4th and 5th and 6th grade. They didn't make it to the 8th grade. Now, it's a shame how much it have improved in education, and they still run this sophisticated Jim Crow. I'll let Jesus worry about that. Ain't my problem. But anyway, you people, we came through all of that. And now y'all have microwave stoves and refrigerators and stuff. Let me go back again. Fruit. You go to the market and get fruit. Okay, let me tell you something about on the farm back in the day. But fruit, you didn't throw away nothing. The peeling, you use them for jelly. You made them for jelly. You used the peeling, you made wine on them. And the apple, they made pies. Now that's the apple. Same thing with a pear. Same thing with plums. Well, nothing waste on the farm. You had to use everything to survive. Because if you didn't put it up right, it will spoil on you. But if you put it up right, you had good eating in the winter. Now, the other food that you had, your beets, you made, listen to this, you made your own pickle. We made our own soft meat. We made our own ham. Smoked sausage, smoked ham, smoked neck bone. They had back there in them days called stone jars. They were some thick stone jars. You could put meat in them, rib in them, and salt and stuff in it, and it kept. Won't do it this day and time, but back there then, you set it in a smokehouse on the side, because in this jar, that's where you made your homemade beer. After, in the winter, you put meat in it. In the summer, you clean that same jar out real good. And that's where you made a little taste of beer. The homemade beer. Now, the core part of the apple, you could use it to make wine with. And you put wine up where it gets hot, and you put sugar in it. There are fruit, wine, grapes, wine, peach, wine. You learn how to do it. So now, you got homemade beer, you got homemade wine. All the cakes and things were homemade. The women learned how to do that. That was their job. Now, in this day and time, the average person wouldn't know no idea how to make a cake. They do all this silly stuff that they be doing now. Sometimes I'd be in the store. This day and time. I'd be in the store, and people be hollering about the price of food, and they have to slow the cashiers here in the store. I would tell them, us farmers and cowboys, we have to work hard to get the food here to y'all in the city, and y'all can't stay in line long enough to pay for it. And they turn around and look at me real funny. But I'm telling you something. You take one plant of tomatoes. Let's take tomatoes. Just to get one plant of tomato, we went to the woods. Used to go to the new woods, cut trees down, bushes down, piled up, and made a plant bed. I probably said it once, I'm saying it again. We made a plant bed. You pile all wood all the way across the plant bed. And when you get it so high by high you can reach and everything, you take some small wood and kindle it and set it on fire. You burn it. You burn the soil. Soil be black it want to be. Why? Why would you burn the soil? To make it pure, to purify it. No bugs, no insect, no nothing in it. And don't nothing get in it. Because there's nothing for them to eat if they got in it from the soil. And by it being, you put a log around, and then you put a canopy over top of it, so the birds will eat your seeds. They will eat your seeds. So after you put the plant on, now your seeds are in the ground, they grow. You wait till slips get so high, 4, 5, 6 high, and then you'll take the slip out and plant them in the ground. 1 tomato plant. You plant it in the ground. Now, you got to wait another 4 or 5 weeks before tomatoes come on. And when tomatoes come on, now you got your blessing. You got big red tomatoes. Now, you come to the city, you send them to the farm. People don't realize how much work is in 1 plant of tomatoes. So, only thing I have to say, when you go to the grocery stores and buy food and stuff, you think back in the days how your granddaddy and anybody 60 years old, 70 years old on the farm, they know the work it took to get it. And this is what I'm going to have to say to you. Thank God for everything. God bless America. They have made farming a sophisticated job now. Why? Because your farmers is educated. 90% of them. Big farming now. It's a big business. Why it's a big business? Because the people that spend that time in farming in college and come out, you're going to pay them. They said food not like it was 50 years ago. You're correct. And nothing else is like it was 50 years ago. But one thing for sure, we are working on it. People of intelligence and dignity are working on it. Now, back on the farm, summertime come, small pond dry up. The one thing about fish go in the mud and live till some water come again. Because I know for a fact, in anywhere fish is at, if that pond or that hole go dry, they go down in the mud. And when you put water, when it rain again, the pond fill back up, it's fish in the pond again. I couldn't figure it out. But now I figured out. Fish is a very vital thing to eat. It's good to eat fish. And some fish now they call farm fish because they have big farms now that raise all kinds of fish. Farming have got to be, like I say, modernized. Well, I'm gonna say this. God bless America.